Hi, my name's Steve Imrich. I work in Somerville at the Miller Street Studios, which is about halfway between Beacon Street and Somerville Ave, right on the railroad tracks. My studio looks out onto the railroad tracks, which actually fits into my whole discussion about Somerville as a departure point. Somerville is great for several reasons as a place to work, as a painter, but mainly because of its variety. It's a fantastic community, and physically it's really interesting also in terms of its development pattern, since it's one of the most dense cities actually in the United States. I've combined several interests that I have in addition to things with Somerville, but into my work on Somerville, related to flying, which I'm a pilot, and so I'm kind of interested in the history of understanding the vantage of things related to flying and memories of landscape related to flying. The history is interesting because up until the time that photography was invented, artists pretty much had to invent what it would be like to have a God's eye view or a bird's eye view, but then once photography came into popular usage, it changes the way that we think of ourselves. Early French aeronauts used balloons actually to do photography in the 1800s, and then later it was in widespread use from airplanes after the Wright brothers and into the First World War. And I am intrigued by it mostly because of the change in vantage for how we can think of everyday circumstances. So in my own work, I take a lot of photographs. Fortunately, I have friends with airplanes and helicopters and those kind of devices. And I use those as starting points in addition to sketching. For instance, this painting that I have here called Somerville Number 9 is actually from a series of other paintings that I've done from a larger vantage that's more of a panoramic view. And then what I'll do is sketches, and then I'll do a painting from a painting by zooming in. So in this particular instance, I was interested in basically the light on a vent and a bathroom stack and some electric wires and a telephone pole, and how that light really transformed the way the colors were seen in the rooftops. So the issues of how we see things in unusual ways, I transform to just about all of my work. But coming back to Somerville, I think the patterning and the granularity of the city fabric is something that's really fascinating to me. And I can zoom in on something like this from this vantage point and actually add characterizations of people conversations and a biker going by, or in the case I've added the dog and a doghouse in my studio from time to time on some of these closer images. So ultimately this vantage point change and the unusual view is intriguing to me, and I think has been something intriguing for everybody for a long time, but it really comes home with the use of, or with the idea of people getting in the air and then actually into space. NASA getting to the moon and having the Apollo shot of bringing the Earth back into focus from a big distance was very a monumental event for everybody, but it also brings home this idea of how a selfie from a different vantage point can change the way that we see the world. Thank you.